Good morning. I'd like to thank everybody for their time today. My name is Ken Hubacher from EntityWise, and we appreciate the opportunity to give you an overview of our AI Steward solution. I understand we have about 15 minutes scheduled, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to cover the following points around AI Steward. I'm going to start with a brief background of the company. I'm going to cover the problem definition and its pain points. I'm going to go into the solution and then how it's architected. I'm going to also discuss how we discovered what the ideal candidates are, also how we implement the solution, how it's priced, and I'll finally then compare the differences between AI Steward and the new 11.6 IBM MDM feature. I joined Initiate Systems in 2007 in development here in Austin, and in 2010, when IBM acquired us, I started EntityWise originally as a consulting group. We did about 15 projects across healthcare, commercial, and government, which included such customers as WellCare, Presbyterian Health, H&R Block, Dell, Farmers, to name a few. And along the way, we had one client ask us if we could automate the resolution of their tasks. We had some machine learning background and decided to prototype a solution, and we were able to discover that this approach worked exceptionally well. And this was the genesis of AI Steward in 2016. Because we recognized that we could solve the hard matches, it was also an easy pivot for us to realize that we could build a full stack match as well. And this is what we did with Cerno. This is a SaaS cloud offering, and to provide an example, we have one client that hosts 230 million reference records in the cloud, and they use it to match their customer records against this reference set. They perform approximately 500,000 searches a day to fulfill their customer needs. But this presentation is going to focus on AI Steward today. Let's start by defining the problem or pain points. Many IBM MDM implementations are configured to raise tasks or suspects as part of their design. These are potential matches that need a human to review to make the decision. But this is an expensive and time-consuming endeavor that requires training and retraining as data stewards move into and out of the team. In addition, many customers find that there isn't a solid consistency between people within a team and how they resolve tasks. Customers will produce manuals and provide hands-on training, but consistency is often an issue. And human data stewards are confined to an 8-to-5 work week. Large backlogs of tasks are a fairly common occurrence, and they typically happen after an implementation or when additional sources are added. This makes it hard to overcome by the team, and in many cases are left as a backlog for years. Some of the clients we engage haven't touched their backlog since it was implemented. And this affects the overall match rate. It's typical that tasks and suspects comprise 10 to 15% of a population, and a task or a suspect is really just an unresolved potential match. So let's start with a high-level view of the solution. AI Steward provides the ability to clone a data stored through a learning process and create a virtual team member that can be directed to do work just like any other data stored, but at a much higher speed, consistency, and the ability to run continuously. AI Steward supplements the MDM as an automated steward and does not change the MDM implementation or configuration. It can be started or stopped at any time and impacts the MDM in the same way as a human steward would when they work or don't work on tasks. AI Steward can replace the data team, or it can work in conjunction with the data team as an additional member. Jumping into the details of the solution, at its core, it's a machine learning-based solution that learns from each client how they resolve tasks or how they understand matches. You can think of this as a specialized match engine that augments the existing MDM platform. We are essentially configuring a match technology that can automate the resolution of potential matches that exist and plug into the existing MDM. The virtual steward can resolve tasks faster, more consistently, and run 24 hours a day if needed, but that's completely controllable. It uses the standard API to do its work, the same API that inspector or brokers use. And when it resolves tasks, the result of the task within the MDM in the database look just like a person have resolved it. The resulting task tables, entities, statuses look the same as an inspector resolved task. It's 100% on-premise, which is very important to some clients. It does not require any off-site access, but it is also available in the cloud if needed. It can resolve 100% of the tasks just as the human data team is able, and it's very configurable. It can be directed to resolve potential duplicates and/or potential linkages. It can get tasks of certain task statuses, and it can resolve the task with a certain task status. It can be started and stopped by the customer very easily and can be directed to resolve as few as one task to any number of tasks at a time. Regarding the diff rule option, for those of you familiar with Inspector and how the non-matched tasks are resolved, a diff or different rule is put in place whenever a data steward decides two records are not the same. This is important because the diff rule prevents the MDM from reconsidering those two records in the future, even if they're updated or changed. AI Steward can optionally act like Inspector and place the diff rule, or it can resolve non-matches without diff rules, allowing the records to be reevaluated. This is a popular option among customers because it has the ability to allow the records to always be reevaluated. This slide demonstrates some of the variability that AI Steward has in resolving tasks. It can resolve all tasks and replace the need for a data team. It can work on a subset of tasks and work in conjunction with the data team. AI Steward can also be run to resolve only tasks that are non-matches and leave the matched tasks alone. So in other words, it can progress through the task set, and when it encounters a task that are deemed non-matches, it will resolve them while leaving the other matches alone. This option removes the noise, so to speak, leaving human data stewards only with tasks that actually have work to be done. The architecture of AI Steward is simple and straightforward. It's a Java process that can be run on any machine in the environment, whether it's the MDM machine itself or another machine, as long as it has access to the MDM API, which is the same requirement that Inspector or a broker has. The impact it has on a machine while it's running is approximately 3 to 5% CPU, so it's very small. There's an audit log that documents everything it does. It logs a before snapshot of the task, the records that made up the task, as well as an after snapshot that shows how AI Steward resolved the task and the resulting entities and records. The ideal candidates are usually during or just after implementation because there's often a significant backlog of tasks. This also occurs when adding sources, which causes the backlog to spike because of the additional records. We can resolve just the backlog for clients and then allow the data team to do ongoing task stewardship, or we can also do ongoing task stewardship as well. The two verticals that we found that highly value resolving tasks are in healthcare and financial. There are definitely commercial customers that still engage, but healthcare and financial are the two verticals we engage with the most. To give you an idea of some clients, we have a hospital with 250,000 tasks and 5 data stewards, another one that's a financial customer with over 1 million tasks and 2 data stewards, and a healthcare client that has 10 million tasks and a single data steward. And as you can see in the last example, a single data steward would have a hard time to overcome 10 million tasks. And here's an example of a client. This is Providence St. Joseph Health in Southern California. This is an excerpt from a report they did for their internal management team, and it is their own numbers and figures. As you can see, the estimated task backlog of over 250,000 tasks, which would have taken over 13,000 hours to complete. AI Steward did it in 41 runtime hours and saved the organization over $300,000, allowing their team to focus on other issues. In addition to resolving the backlog, they continue to run AI Steward nightly for the past 2 years and have been task-free. You can note that we achieved approximately 2,800 tasks per hour as throughput for AI Steward. This throughput is determined by the customer's hardware. With regards to St. Joseph's environment, it was a moderate-sized IBM MDM. Larger environments can achieve a greater throughput. The implementation process is a lightweight process that can be measured in days rather than months or years. We start with a no-cost POC, or proof of concept, that uses the sample pair process from the MDM, and we ask for 3 of your best data stewards to review a set of sample pairs, and we use part of that input to train the AI steward, and the remaining part to produce a report that demonstrates AI steward's decision compared to the 3 data stewards. The sample pair review will be the largest amount of time required by you during the proof of concept. And we provide back a report to show you the accuracy of AI Steward versus the 3 data stewards. Assuming the solution is accepted, We can then move forward as fast or as slow as you want. We normally begin by running AI Steward in a test environment and start resolving tasks there. The customer will review the resolution of the task and ensure that they're to their satisfaction. After the test period, we can then proceed to production and start as slow or as fast as you want, resolving as little as 1 task or 5 or 10, and progress as fast as you would like to go. Once you feel comfortable, we can run any number that you would like. For St. Joseph, we ended up running a few hundred in production before we turned it on full time. Will this ever need retraining? The answer is very similar to the IBM MDM's need for retuning. There's no need to retrain the model unless something significant in the attribute set has changed. We've designed our pricing to be very straightforward. We only charge for the resolved task, which helps to provide a clear return on investment. This is especially true when data stores exist, as there's usually a per task cost that can be calculated within the environment. We don't charge for the implementation and there's no maintenance fees, so it's simply the cost for resolved tasks. And you can control how many tasks you wish to resolve. What type of model do we use? A subscription model is our preference, but we do project work as well. Project work often being a one-time reduction of the backlog to allow the data team to maintain newly generated tasks. But we prefer a subscription model where we eliminate the backlog and then resolve ongoing new tasks as well. So the initial year's price is higher due to the backlog, but then falls substantially as ongoing task generation is usually a much smaller amount. An example in St. Joseph Health, who had 250,000 tasks in the backlog and were generating around 25,000 tasks per year. The first year was priced at 275,000 tasks, but the subsequent years were only at 25,000 tasks. Many of you are probably aware that IBM in the 11.6 version released a machine learning feature, and a very common question we get is what's the difference between IBM and the EntityWise version? The IBM version is embedded within the Data Steward UI tool and requires a human steward to work through the tasks through an interface. EntityWise is the opposite model and directly interacts with the MDM through the API and resolves tasks without the need for a human. So if a customer requires a human data team to work tasks, then the IBM feature would be the way to go. But if the customer does not require a team, does not have a team, or wants to get through a backlog too large for a team, EntityWise would be a good choice. In addition, we are compatible with Advanced Edition. I'd like to thank everybody for their time today, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any further questions. Thank you.